Hello, dear friends. Here we are. Yes, we are here live 40 nights with the Promise Consoler. Ta-da! Yes, the Promise Consoler with us. We need it, don't we? Many people on the earth, they are suffering. Who isn't? Who doesn't have their ins and outs, things to be dealt with? And here we are together, 40 nights with the Promise Consoler, and tonight is night 13th. Yuppie! And we're very blessed. As our dear friend Carol Correa said, we're very blessed, right? Exactly. And this is, tonight, a very special teaching. We're living in a world in which many people, especially in Western society, in the United States of America, we're at a particular time nowadays in which people feel like they can say whatever they like, irrespective of the consequences and their consequences. We are now going to learn chapter 35 from the book Pontos e Contos by the spirit author Humberto de Campos, through Chico Xavier. We don't have the book yet in English, but almost there because we've got quite a few chapters out of it talking about Jesus' guidance. And the guidance we're going to have here today is a true revelation for us. Let us not forget that the Spiritist science is the third revelation. The first one was the Moses, the revelation by Moses, the Ten Commandments, which is the foundation of the divine justice known to us. The second revelation is the gospel of Jesus Christ, and the third is the Spiritist revelation. And it's a revelation because the veil was taken by the illuminated spirits. We clearly have here a work at four hands, a work at four hands. And this work at four hands, the discarnate spirits and the incarnate ones, are making a difference on the earth. And when we have that awareness, we expedite our progress. I'll never forget when we interviewed at Kardec Radio our beautiful friend Gary Stewart, Dr. Gary Schwartz. And Gary Schwartz mentioned that though he's not a spiritist, but he understood through his research that by studying the teachings of the spirits, we could expedite the progress of material science too. And that's a wise insight, right? So let us take that route and go forward. Yuppie! Let's say hi to our beautiful community. I have here with me Carol and Mark Smith, who are connected through us through Kardec Radio, the radio. You know, we have an app. We have here beautiful Leia Severo. Hello, Leia. Hello, Rihanna. Don't forget, friends, we launched the campaign through Kardec Radio. We are collecting books or donations that will turn into books, and we're gonna send it to the group of that is forming in South Africa. It's not easy to get books over there. It can be quite expensive, and if we team up, we can do it. I remember when we did a similar thing in 2009 in Liberia. It worked. It was 1/2 ton of books. Not only spiritist though. It was for a library for a college of women. By the way, today is the International Day of Women, and it's not only for us women in this life, but for every soul, because we all have the feminine. When we celebrate women, we're celebrating the feminine, the sacredness of the feminine inside of all of us. And Jesus is beautiful, okay? He's beautiful. Jesus is clearly the one that is teaching us the beauty of the combination of the feminine and the masculine. Here we have Andrea Torres. Hello, Andrea. And Sunshine. Hello. Danny and Erica. Hello, friends. Adilson. How are you? Beautiful Cesar. How are you? Joyce. How is everything there, my friend? We miss you. Now we have Patricia and Tiago. How are you? Angelita. Sol. Hello. Duska. Rudy. Here we are, right, Rudy? What is happening here at Kardec Radio? We're coming to know Kardec Radio is working the radio. And we just need to find out, because some friends are listening through Kardec Radio, and we have only one person now on the behind the scenes. So, meanwhile, just bear with me for a split second, please, so we can make sure that we can make this happen. Right. Let's figure this out. One second, friends. Bear with me, please. Today's the 8th. Got it. One second. Let's see. Yep. Let's see if it works. Dear friends, Karen Mark, let me know. Here we have it. Hello, Joyce. Yes, it's good to be together. And Constance, too. Are you ready? Because this message is unique. McCurfy Claire, welcome, welcome. Here we have it, friends. Chapter 35 from the book Pontos e Contos. We're titling it In the Words of the Path. It's a passage with one of the apostles of Jesus, James, okay? It is said that James, the old apostle who remained in Jerusalem, was in his way to Bethany with Matthias, the successor of Judas, in the college of the followers of the Christ, when suddenly the figure of Judas the Iscariot was remembered. Contemplating a neighboring orchard, James said in response to his companion's remarks, "This sight reminds us of the garden where the Master was betrayed. The nearby trees seemed to await him. At twilight lessons, as the Lord cherished the deepest meditations, I still remember the unexpected moment, despite his warnings. Judas was ahead of the officers and soldiers who were using lanterns, clubs, and swords. They expected to meet Jesus at night because Jesus often rejoiced, teaching us under the sweet nocturnal light. The Master, however, came to his adversaries, smiling and undisturbed. James' eyes were immersed in reminiscences when the apostle recalled. The infamous one stepped forward and kissed Jesus on the cheek. The tumult was established, the arrest of the Messiah was consummated, and our martyrdom began. What insolence! What a malicious man, this terrible Judas! Replied Matthias, inflamed with apostolic zeal. It pains me to evoke the heinous form of the ungrateful. How didn't he hesitate regarding the ignominious crime? Judas, Judas, will forever be our shame, exclaimed James, leaning against the rustic cane. I often hear Peter's argument which seeks to defend him. I listen and I remain silent because for me there are no words that may excuse him. This traitor will be a culprit before humanity. He was the one who delivered the Master to the criminal priests and provoked the tragedy of the Golgotha. There are no lawyers, no excuses. He was wicked and positively infamous. Matthias then asked, How did he get to such an absurdity? The Lord had given him everything regarding his eternal blessings. Then James said firmly, It was the devilish spirit of unruly ambition. Judas wanted to be at the direction of our group. He wanted to stand with the rabbis of the temple, to captivate the sympathy of the dominating Romans, to create a financial organization, to subject the Lord himself to his will. Peter often claims that the scoundrel neither saw the consequences of the act of betrayal, nor did he feed the purpose of eliminating the beloved Master. However, I cannot admit the assumption. Certainly, Judas deliberately condemned the Lord to death. Perhaps he was the subtle inspirer of the torments on the cross. John and Peter assert that the unhappy man repented and wept. However, I doubt it. A traitor like that would find no tears in his eyes. He was too perverse to suffer for anyone. In fact, said Matthias, he must have been no ordinary criminal. His memory inspires compassion and shame. After a short pause, Matthias asked James, Did you see him before he died? James replied meaningfully, No. And I do not know if I would have behaved fraternally if I had seen him. The traitor died in the diabolical bonds that he wove with his own hands. He owed the hells as he descended wrapped up in dense darkness. He was a wicked genius of the lower powers. What about the relatives of this cruel man? Asked Matthias curiously. Did they approve of the satanic conduct? James was going to respond when something prevented him. The old apostle widened his eyes, interrupted the march, and asked Matthias, Who is the one over there, clothed in shining light? Astounded, Matthias said, I see it. I see it too. Bathed now in tears, James recognized the Messiah. He remembered the narrative of the disciples on the way to Emmaus. He knelt in reverence and spoke quietly. It is the Lord. Jesus approached with the majestic beauty of sublime spirituality and paused for a moment beside his companions. He regarded them compassionately as an affectionate master with two humble apprentices. Matthias wept, unable to lift his eyes. James wept too, and dared to look at Jesus, begging him, "Lord, bless us." Jesus stretched out the right hand in a sign of love. Since Jesus did not say anything, the old Galilean considered, "Lord, can we return to Jerusalem in order to receive your will and fulfill it?" The Christ sweetly and firmly said, "No, James, I'm not going now. I'm still on a mission to help Judas." And without adding anything, he continued the solitary excursion in sublime silence. That night, when he returned to Jerusalem, the old James stayed away from the community, taking up the scrolls where he had begun to write his beautiful epistle to Christianity. He wrote down in tears his famous thoughts about the human tongue. We always end up speechless, right? How are you feeling? What is crossing your minds? Let us observe it. These are therapeutic conversations that shall promote new habits. We need to create new habits. In these stories, we have 4 characters: James, Matthias, James old, the one who followed Jesus, right? We are here talking about James. He's older, he's using a cane. He's talking to Matthias, who substituted, in a way, nobody substitutes anybody, but he was the one who entered the college of the apostles after Judas committed suicide. And then we have Jesus, and in the conversation, they mention the conversations about Judas. Of these 4, let's do a therapeutic exercise. Which one of them do you think you are more connected at this moment? Who do you feel something about? James, Matthias, Jesus, or Judas? Each one of them represent different roles in these dynamics of our human relationships. Let us observe. Let's observe the dialogue. We're passing by a certain area, and that is a stimulus that evokes in James and also in Matthias stories that we have lived. If we go to the book Mechanisms of Mediumship by André Luiz through the mediums Valdo Vieira and Chico Xavier, we've come to know that the human mind works in such a way that an image, a replace any sensorial stimulus, touch, noise, perfume, a visual, anything can be taste, can evoke thoughts and feelings, trigger. He called it mental inductors. When people say, oh, but I'm just gonna see this bad news, but it's not gonna do anything. That's what you think. Because in fact, the law is only one action and reaction. If I see something, a cascade of events, even if I'm unconscious, it's happening. For example, some people like horror movies. And it's not that we are afraid, but the fact is, those images is like junk food. And maybe today people are not going to be afraid, but the day we are going through a very difficult phase in our lives, that's when the obsessors, those who do not like us, they'll be using those images that are stored in our mental body to create anxiety, panic, to create a series of events inside of us. So we need to be very careful. We need to be selective to what we observe. You know, there's a beautiful song. Unfortunately, that song is not in English. But I mentioned to you previously, probably when we're studying another book. It's a Turma do Cristãozinho. It's in Portuguese and it's about songs, the little Christian group songs. It's very cute. And it's about, they say, cuidado olhinho que vê, cuidado olhinho que vê, o nosso Criador está olhando para você. Cuidado olhinho que vê. Be careful, little eye, what you're seeing. Be careful, little eye, what you're seeing. Our Creator is watching over you. So, creating consciousness. Some people think we cannot choose what we are being stimulated about, but we can. We can. And we shall. Right? So here we have Matthias and James. They're walking. They pass by a neighboring orchard, and that's enough. Observe the mental trigger, the mental inductor. Anything can induce us to a cascade of events. James says, this sight reminds us of the garden where the master was betrayed. You see? It just reminded, and then a whole conversation came along. So we need to be very, very careful. You have a similar song in South Africa, the Africans. Oh, thank you, Rihanna. If possible, record it for me and send it for me so I can listen to that too. Thank you for sharing. Hello, Rita Di Cassia and Carol McCleve. McKilvin, am I right? Sorry. Hello, Ale. Hello, Melissa. I know, so when we talk about Jesus, we feel so happy. We have good dreams. Jesus is the best, right? He literally is the most adorable soul ever on this earth besides us, right? Everyone is. But observe this. So in this text, my friends, the first therapeutic moment for us is observe what is constantly triggering in you mental actions. And when we say mental, we're talking about feelings and then ideas. Because words and actions are actually just second nature, okay? Thank you, Carol, for your kindness. Thank you. So here we have, friends, this observation. From there on, they start a conversation that is very deep. And they start reminiscing. Just one visual, one scenario induced them to think about a passage, Judas, and then judgment. Right? James is being sincere, but he's being very non-Christian when he says that he can't forgive, that what Judas did is unforgivable. That he's saying he's a traitor. And the words he uses, we're very grateful that Humberto de Campos was able to bring this text to us. Because that's the nature of our conversations when we usually are indignated about things. We sometimes go overboard with our judgment. No wonder James, he actually wrote, if we go to the biblical passage, taming the tongue. And you know, it's interesting because the scholars don't know what actually triggered. If you read what the scholars say, the reasons why James was mentioning this in the Bible about taming the tongue, they think he was mentioning about others, and actually he was talking about himself. So let us put a pause and observe the conclusions he came up. He says, James 3, "Not many of you should become teachers, my fellow believers, because you know that we who teach will be judged more strictly. We all stumble in many ways. Anyone who is never at fault in what they say is perfect, able to keep their whole body in check. When we put bits in the mouths of the horses to make them obey us, we can turn the whole animal." He goes on and on and on and on. Now he talks. "Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. Consider what a great forest is set on fire by a small spark. The tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. With the tongue we praise our Lord, our Father, and with it we curse human beings who have been made in God's likeness. Out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this should not be. Can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? My brothers and sisters, can a fig tree bear olives or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. Who is wise and understanding among you? Let them show it by their good life, by deeds done in humility that comes from wisdom." And he goes on and on. But he said it all. James, after this lesson that we're going to still talk about more, he wrote this, saying that with our word, which is fire, the tongue, the use of our language, we can set a fire and destroy forest. So you see, what do we do? People say, "But Vanias, I have a bad habit." I say, who doesn't? It comes from many lives, right? Reincarnations, habits, conditionings. But Emmanuel says, to evolve, we need to create new habits. But where do we begin to change it? We begin it at the source, the mental. And when we say mental, we're talking about emotions and thoughts. And what is it? We begin in observing what we're feeling, observing what is inside of us that is in need of something else, and observe what is triggering those emotions in us, the mental inductors that André Luiz talks about. We need to be selective, careful with the things we see, the things we hear, the things we feel in general. And then we can start taming the tongue. The tongue is a muscle that responds to the command of the mind. And as we study, the mind is the mirror of life. Whatever is much in my thoughts and in my feelings is going to come out of my mouth. If I want to change what is coming out of my mouth, what do? I start observing what is in my thoughts and my feelings, and I change at the source. How? By seeking the good, feeling the good, visualizing the good, and molding the good with all the resources we can. Right? That's the goal. That's the goal. And the beauty of it all is that they talk and they talk, and when the ultimate question came along, right? Matthias was asking about the relatives of this man. Did they approve of it? Jesus appears in perispiritual body. What do we learn from his presence? Because there's a lot about the nonverbal. You know, we learn more about emotional management without words than with words. So here we have, he comes, and he had a majestic beauty, sublime spirituality. He first stopped by. He didn't come like a talking master. Observe this. This is a non-verbal message. We talk too much. We want to give opinion in people's lives, which we should not. Okay? What happens in your life is your life. What happens in other people's lives, their lives, is never going to be the same. So we should learn with the master. Come, and he doesn't come like, ta-da, hello friends, here I am. No, he comes and emanates. As André Luiz says in the book Christian Agenda, virtue is not a mouth that speaks. It's a light that emanates from the person. Like in the book The Messengers, chapter 13, when André Luiz learns that his light is now radiating. So we don't. Sometimes we're like, what do I say to this person? What do I do when I go there? Be. Just be. Be. Be what? Be you. But to be me, I have to say something. No, practice not saying anything, just being. But I have to say something, otherwise people are not going to understand. Just be. Speak with your eyes. Let's do this exercise, shall we? Shall we, in the next 24 hours, make this collective exercise? Practice coming to places and being, instead of saying something. Be. Through your heart, through our hearts. How? Breathe in and out. Let's say I'm coming to my workplace. Before you say hi, hello, anything, you can smile if you want. Anything but no words. Be. To tame the tongue, we need to be first. Feel. Look at people. But people are gonna think I'm weird. So be it. Because you're trying to be it. Right? So be it. Doesn't matter. And be. No words. Let them speak first. Why do we have to be the one speaking always? And first. Hello, Felipe. Now, another lesson from Jesus, huh? He comes, he doesn't say anything. They're both there, and James asks, Lord, bless us. Jesus, you think he starts talking, blah, 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 and saying, James, bad boy, you're talking bad about Judas. And you, Matthias, don't know anything, you shouldn't say anything as well. Probably we would do it. But Jesus, as our guide and model, is teaching us a major lesson here. How to discipline. Nowadays we talk about positive parenting. And some parents say, no, but that's impossible. Well, Jesus is the model of positive education. He educates us positively. He doesn't put us down. We have a long way to learn. Because he doesn't come and reprimand them. He doesn't have a frown face. He doesn't do anything. He has his kindness. He doesn't say anything. And when he's asked to bless, he stretches out his right hand in sign of love. He doesn't say anything. Then James asks, can we return to Jerusalem to receive your will and fulfill it? Saying, so you can tell us what you came for. And then the cry, sweetly and firmly. Observe the combination. We just talked about the feminine and the masculine. Sweetly, but firmly. Sweetly, firmly. Let's picture. Let's allow our mental brain to imprint the mirror neurons, the lesson. Sweetly, firmly, sweetly, firmly. He said, no, James, I'm not going now. That type of firmness we lack nowadays because we're afraid. And depending on the culture, the Brazilian culture, for example, is very hard at taking firm instructions. We usually like kind, but not firm. And Jesus is teaching us the combination. Firm and kind. No, I'm not going now. I'm still on a mission to help Judas. So he didn't come and say, you guys are bad boys because of this, that, and the other. He just said, I'm on a mission to help Judas. You guys were talking about Judas. And I'm going to help him. He betrayed me in your view, but I'm going to help him. So Jesus is telling us, you are resented, I am not. You shouldn't either. In between the lines, he's saying it all. But he's not reprimanding. Parents, this is a good lesson for us. Because we come from many lives in which we were doing this harsh discipline method. In this life, we were probably taught that way. And now we're finally learning a new way. And Jesus is the master. He is teaching us the positive educational method. He doesn't put down. It doesn't make people feel down. It just shows the pathway. Positive parenting, positive education. And then he didn't add anything. He continued his solitary excursion in sublime silence. So today we have a lesson from James to Jesus, Humberto de Campos, a lesson. Let's be the best we can be. Of course, we can be divine. We are divine. Be divine. Be divine. And tame. Put the tongue on a leash. No. Let's be kind to the tongue. We love the tongue, right? Let it be there. We're going to treat it with kindness. A good reminder about when we speak is put out your hand here on the chest. And whenever you speak, put your hand here. Feel the vibration and imagine if the content of what we're speaking is good, our vibrations that are moving around our body is positive. If the vibrations, they're being caused by a conversation that is not healthy, that unhealthiness is going to stay vibrationally with us. It first stays with us, and then of course we can create a mess in people's lives, or the reverse, or a lot of goodness, right? Shall we do this exercise? Just be? Yeah? Just be the one who doesn't say goodbye. I will fly, I will fly, I will fly until the end of the sky. Friends, let us observe how sacred it is, and let's do affirmations. Let's wrap up the study today affirming, I can use my words wisely. My words are healthy. I exhale health. My words are healthy. I exhale health. I only say the good. 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 I only say the healthy. I only say the good and the healthy. Our guiding model only said the good and the healthy. We're learning with him. We think that to fix things, we need to judge, point fingers, and do their way. And with James, we're learning. It's not true. As James asks, how can both fresh water and salt water flow from the same spring? How can a fig tree bear olives or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. Right, friends? Shall we practice? Don't feel guilty. Remember the lesson of guilt. It's not worthwhile. We're learning, friends. Jesus is kind and compassionate. Let's be kind to ourselves, shall we? Forgiving ourselves, forgiving others. Let's propose ourselves just to be and feel the joy of living. Why? Because I am a child of God, and you are a child of God. We reincarnated to learn to do good. Right? Reincarnation, the path of progress. Reincarnation, the opportunity, reincarnation, the way to become good, to achieve true happiness. Children of God, rejoice because we're learning and we're stronger together, my friends. Tomorrow we'll come back, chapter 36 of the book Pontos e Contos. But if you don't have the book in Portuguese, don't worry. You can read the English version in the spiritual realm tonight, right? Or tomorrow when we meet here at 11 p.m., okay? God willing, we'll be back together for another night of 40 nights with the Promise Consoler. Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Rihanna. Thank you, friends. Blessings to all.